Alright, you maggots. The monsters have taken over the city. We must get in there and fight them all off. So get in there and defeat every single last one of them.
Ah! Monsters!
Fire!
Run!
Fire!
Help! Ah!
Welcome to Earth Defense Force 6. Following a very successful defense against the primers, with only 90% of humanity dead in the process, we learned that the fight is not truly over. Remnants of the enemy are scattered across the land. We head out to fight them and reclaim our world. We may have a small force, but our character is the hero that beat the primers in the past. So these small groups of enemies are no match for us. When suddenly,
No way, no how, it can't be!
the primer invasion is not truly over yet. New enemy ships have appeared out of nowhere, and with them comes a whole new set of enemies, the androids. These are tough enemies that are able to climb around buildings and shoot their hands to attack you. This new enemy type comes in many different variants. We've got the large android, the larger version of the regular android. Yeah, sometimes the EDF are really bad at naming things. These guys will barrage you with ranged attacks non-stop. Some of their ammunition is able to knock your character around. We've also got the Type 3 drones. These guys are extremely weak, but only if you hit them on their weak spot, the round ball at the center. Shooting this will guarantee that you take them out as quickly as possible. Just like the drones in the previous game, they don't really pose a significant threat, only in large numbers or when catching you off guard. As a desperate Hail Mary, you charge towards the enemy mothership, attacking its weak point from the bottom of the ship. The aliens could have done such a better job designing this ship. Why would they place the weak point at such an obvious location? It's almost like it has a sign in front of it saying, "Please shoot me, please, I'm right here." You push your way through the enemies, shoot the weak point, and then things start getting really weird. Then you see it on screen. This is where EDF 6 begins. All right, you maggots. The monsters have overrun the city with teleportation ships. We're not sure how we can shoot them down, but we won't let any of the monsters survive. Let's defend the civilians and take back what's ours. And you, new recruit, you make for a fine ranger. If you work hard, maybe you'll get promoted to a higher position. So let's go and take back the city. Ha! You got tricked. We weren't playing EDF 6 in the beginning. It was more like EDF 5.9. We now know that the giant ring we shot down was actually a time machine. The primers have been sending back units in time to defeat humanity. Now we must go through the events of EDF 5 again, but this time things are slightly different. The new enemy ships are popping up and the androids are attacking us as well. So now we have to face up against old enemies. What are these giant ant monsters attacking us? Idiot! Baka? Stupid? Those are not ants. Those are clearly monster species Alpha. These monsters are like nothing we've seen before. Nothing on planet Earth looks anything like these guys. Yeah, nothing at all. They come in 3 variants. The white species Alpha. These guys are the basic monster. They crawl around on the floor in buildings and shoot acid from their butts. Yeah, just be careful not to let any of these guys catch you off guard. We also have the red version that will grab onto you and thrash you around into your dead. Just shoot them off before all of your bones are beaten to a pulp. Finally, we have the green version. These guys are basically just a much faster version of the red and white ones, but with great speed comes a much squishier version of the enemies. So take them out as quickly as possible before you are overwhelmed. There are also giant queen versions of these guys, called the Mother Monster. It's extremely deadly. Best to avoid it and take it out from far away. What you'll start to notice if you haven't played an EDF game before is that the game's writing is so bad, it's good. It's perfect, actually. The kind of stuff that will catch you off guard and make you laugh out loud.
They've got so many arms and legs, and they can use several weapons at once.
Like take for example the species Alpha. The EDF acts as if they have no idea what these creatures are, but then describe the holes that they come out of as anthills. Or let's look at the species Beta, a monster that will jump around and shoot acidic webs that will melt your armor. They never call these things spiders, but they call the string that they shoot out spider webs. There is another species of spider in the game called the arachnophobia. These monsters will build gigantic webs that will trap and slowly dissolve anybody who so happens to touch them. The cool thing about these guys is that if their web hits you, they will slowly drag you closer, dealing damage over time as you frantically shoot them to make them let go. What do you see when you look at this creature? A bee? A hornet? No, you idiot! That's a flying aggressor! They have a red and a queen variant, just like the ants, and also come out of hornets' nests. God damn it. I love this dumb game so much. As we fight through each mission of the game, you'll notice immediately if you played EDF 5 that we are time skipping to different key moments from the game. But things have changed. Because of the aliens time traveling, the androids are now a huge threat to the EDF. They even have introduced a couple new variants to kill us off. We have the android grenadiers, both a basic and a large version. These guys will charge forward to your location, attempting to surround you with explosives. When they are close enough, they will raise the explosive in their hands and blow up. The smaller versions are pretty easy to avoid, but the large ones with the purple bombs are a huge threat. The explosions that those cause can wipe out an entire squad in an instant. So shooting them down is your top priority. To go with the running theme about these androids, these grenadiers actually have a weak point, the explosives in their hands. If you shoot them enough, they will explode nearly instantly, destroying the android. Be careful. The other explosives will fly away and detonate in a separate location. So don't get caught off guard having these fly towards your location and blowing you up. We also have the Cyclops. This gigantic android is a huge threat, attacking by rapidly shooting at you or slamming its arms on the floor. These guys are extremely tanky, but they still have a weak point. The goal is to shoot them in the eye. Shooting them anywhere else will cause minimal damage, so just make sure you aim at their eyes at all times. What's that? An alien creature that looks just like us? No, that can't be! How can we shoot a creature that looks just like us? Is what you hear over the radio in the game. And when you finally see the creature, you are stunned at how much this creature looks just like you. A perfect resemblance. The fucking hilarious part about this is we have an alien creature as well. These are literally just typical aliens in armor. You know, the little gray men. You would think that they would say this about these guys, but no. They think all of humanity looks like frogs. We won't have to worry about anything though. We are a top-class ranger. The ranger class is the basic cookie-cutter class of EDF. When running into a battle with aliens and their forces, they choose to use basic assault rifles and shotguns to get the job done. But these guns are amazing at killing bugs, dealing a metric fuck ton of damage depending on what gun you choose. Some of these can be really terrible, but the vast majority can carry you through most of the game. They are also capable of using missile launchers, which conveniently have enough explosive ammunition to blow up an entire country. I mean, look at this. We are basically causing air raider levels of explosions on the battlefield. The Ranger is the only class in the game with a dedicated run button. Using it will cause the camera to stare down at his ass, while you make the equivalent of a Looney Tunes ass run away from the enemies, if you don't get killed off before you're able to escape. The Ranger can acquire different support equipment as well. This ranges from armor that lets you move and run faster, tanks, and helicopters that you can pilot, or the greatest support equipment of all, the bike. Using this is the ultimate flex to your friends, as you ride towards the enemies and immediately fall over because you hit a random bump on the road, leaving you totally exposed to the swarm of ants and spiders. Why would you take anything but this? But the biggest change to the Ranger in EDF 6 is the backpack slot. Before, in EDF 5, if you wanted to use a grenade, you had to equip it into one of your 2 weapon slots. And the grenades in that game were terrible. They were terrible. They were awful. Now you have an entire dedicated slot to these, allowing you to quickly use your grenades at the click of a button, throwing them at their maximum range, rather than having to charge them up like before. This is such a big change to the Ranger. Now if you're using a weapon that takes a long time to reload, you can use your grenades to help defend yourself, or accidentally kill yourself and your entire team in an instant. The Ranger will also have an access to turrets that the Air Raider previously had in EDF 5. These turrets are, okay, great for crowd control, but not so much for actually killing monsters. Overall, the Ranger feels so so much stronger than it was before. It feels so good when you lob a grenade into a group of monsters and see that you did hundreds of thousands of damage to them in an instant. Wait a second, that scientist from before. He's contacting us through the radio, as if he knows about us from the future. It looks like he traveled back in time with us. He tries to convince the EDF that aliens are using time travel technology to beat humanity, and the EDF respond accordingly.
You'll be heading to the hospital.
By requesting his immediate arrest and termination from his position as science director.
Counselor!
Maybe you should not try sounding like a crazy person next time, buddy. So we fight with all of our might to stop the primers from destroying humanity this time. But it isn't enough. Eventually, we are at the same mission we started the game with. Humanity is still at the brink of destruction, and this time, knowing the exact location of your base, you are forced into a gigantic underground mall. By the way, what in the hell is a mall doing here? I've never heard of a gigantic underground mall before. But while fighting for our lives, we see that the species Alpha and Beta look very different now, both taking an entirely different appearance with greater amounts of HP and damage. While fighting for our lives in the underground mall, we are told that the surface is now controlled by the Cruel. But we have to go to the surface. We must attack the time machine and send ourselves back again, so we have another chance to changing the future. So we head outside and we see them. What I love about the Cruel is that they're basically like another version of what people thought aliens would look like. These guys are really tough compared to the other aliens that we've fought before. While there may be different types of equipment that the Cruel can have, the basic ones carry around a shield and a gun. They use the shield to expertly block every attack you make at them, almost as if they're an anime character blocking bullets with a katana or something. But they are not indestructible. Hit the shield enough times and it will go into a cooldown phase, where the Cruel cannot move their shield around to block your attacks. Use this opportunity to quickly dispatch them before their shield gets back up, or just shoot their arm holding the shield off, but that will regrow later. Through impossible odds, we fight our way to the time traveling machine and recreate the incident that caused us to go back in time, and then we see it. This is where EDF 7 begins. All right, you maggots. The monsters have overrun the city with teleportation ships. We're not sure how you can shoot them down, but we won't let any of the monsters survive. Let's defend the civilians and take back what's ours. And you, new recruit, you make for a fine air raider. If you work hard enough, you... Hey, where are you going? Wait a second. How does the recruit know how to defeat these ships? That's right, we are playing EDF 7 now, but things are much different from before. This time, our character does not hold back. Because of our prior knowledge of the aliens and their weaknesses, we immediately destroy the teleportation ships. That was such a huge issue for the EDF before. Rather than taking 5 months to develop a weapon to destroy the ships, you help them discover their weakness almost instantly.
How the hell did the newbie know that?
So we play missions skipping through time in different levels in EDF 6, but this time things are different. Because of the aliens time traveling, the androids and the Cruel are now a huge threat to the EDF. They have even introduced a couple variants to kill us off, but don't worry, we are an elite air raider. The air raider in Earth Defense Force can be described with one sentence.
150mm cannon, fire!
The Air Raider is a class that mostly focuses on using vehicles or drones to attack others. It can be played as both a support role or the biggest reason why half the map is absolutely obliterated. The class now has drones that it can use in battle that are actually really useful. You shoot a targeting dart at the enemy that will lead the drone to them. They will then perform their function at the location, ranging from shooting the heck out of it or creating a gigantic zone of AoE damage. They are also the class that has a dedicated slot to summoning vehicles to the battlefield, or super gigantic mechs to swat at the bugs. So we fight off the aliens, call down airstrikes on the Cruel, and take down the alien mobile fortress. But this is still not enough. Humanity is yet again on the brink of destruction, which forces us to make an all-out attack on the time machine. But this time, on the surface, there is a whole new monster to deal with. The Skilla have now taken over the surface. These are large merfolk-like creatures that jump around, spewing forth a mist. If the player is within the mist, they are quickly melted down into a husk. The interesting thing about facing off against the Scylla is trying to fight them in close combat, because they're trying to jump on you at all times, while also trying to avoid the gas that they spew out of their body. We fight off the Scylla and make our way towards the time machine, and yet again we're able to destroy it, sending us back in time as text appears on screen. This is where EDF 8 begins. All right, civilian, you were handling yourself well against those creatures. You look like you have what it takes to become an elite fencer. Just make sure you stay behind us and you might make it. Wait, hold on. Where are you going? The civilian knows how to shoot down those pylons? You have to join the EDF immediately. That's right. We are playing EDF 8 now, but now we are not afraid of changing the future drastically. Before, the scientists would ask that we not change the course of events too much, to avoid a situation where we would create a time paradox. But now, all bets are on. The aliens are not playing fair, so we shouldn't as well. With knowledge of future events, the scientist is able to prove that aliens do, in fact, have some sort of time machine, and you are the best bet for humanity. You played through the events of EDF 7, but now humanity finally has the upper hand. Even though alien ships from the future are now dropping off androids, Cruel, and Scylla, you still find a way to stop them at every turn. Wait, what the heck is that? It's some kind of giant bird, but it breathes fire like a phoenix. I know what we should call this giant bird. Let's call it a siren. No, I'm not fucking kidding with you. This is actually the thought process of everyone in the EDF. They believe this giant dragon is a bird or a phoenix, and they decide to name it after a mythological bird that sings to lure things in, which actually makes kind of sense in a strange way, as the siren will call out for Scylla to join the battle with it. This is definitely a formidable foe, and it totally doesn't have a boss battle where you basically defeat it like 5 times before it actually dies. But we don't have to worry, we are elite fencers. The fencer class in the game received the least amount of love, only receiving minor changes to their gameplay. Here's what a friend of mine who played the fencer throughout their entire playthrough thought of it. The fencer isn't a hyper-mobile Gundam, but he's still a bipedal walking, flying battle tank. You can either be a long-range fencer with 2 huge cannons, or bombing the entire battlefield with mortars. The mortars are actually really good in multiplayer to keep the heat off your allies. And missiles. Each arm can target enemies from far away, even behind buildings. The trade-off that you're making for this is that you kind of have to stay back. The Power Blade is everything I wanted. A fucking katana on a Gundam, dashing around, fucking cutting up things with your katana blade. You get 3 hits to your combo that come out super fast, and it's also launching an energy blade projectile at the same time. It's cool as fuck. Against all odds, we are able to fight off the Scylla, Siren, and all of what the primers have to throw at us. And this time, we finally shifted the tides of war. Now that the scientist has fully convinced everyone about the time machine, the EDF was fully willing to nuke the dark side of the moon. By the way, the final boss in EDF 5 was a creature that was literally called God, and the EDF tried to literally arrest him.
It's the pilot of the command ship. Take it under arrest.
He, of course, resisted arrest, and the EDF decided to end his life. Because of this decision, the future now looks bright. We are now donned with advanced combat armor, and it finally looks like we will win this war. But in the end, this did not stop the aliens from eventually taking over the surface. Now, trapped underground in the mall again, we fight our way to the time machine and find a new species of monster, the Kraken, and its little children, the Haze. The Kraken is similar to the Cruel, but they are capable of flying around, guarding themselves with the same shield that the Cruel use. But they are also accompanied by the Haze. These little squids will spike you with their tentacles, and also leave a black mist around you to make you blind. Against all odds, you are yet again able to fight off the Kraken and the Haze to make it to the time machine and successfully destroy it. Then you see it one last time. This is where EDF 9 begins. Holy fuck, we basically got 4 games in one. Civilian, be careful. It looks like the base is locked down due to some monster attack. Let's head over here to be, hey, where are you flying off to? We don't have to hold back any longer. With our skills as a wing diver, we will change the future and make sure humanity is able to survive the primer attack. From From the very first mission of EDF 9, your character already shows off his skills and knowledge on how to defeat the primers. With this, the EDF is now 100% convinced that some time travel shenanigans are going on. They are able to develop and deploy advanced weaponry to change the tides of war, even though the time traveling ships are popping in and dropping Kraken and the Haze throughout the world. We are wing divers, an elite female-only squadron that is capable of using jetpacks in the battlefield. Totally not an excuse created by the developers to have some eye candy class in the game. This is probably the most hit-or-miss class you could play in this game. You will try it out for a mission and then immediately tell whether or not it's your cup of tea. The wing diver uses fuel for both its jetpack and its weapons, meaning you have to take special precautions depending on what's going on in the battlefield. With weapons that can range between pea shooters that absolutely do no damage and are completely useless, to being able to annihilate enemies. This is definitely the specialist class in the game. The wing diver has also acquired a new slot called the independently operated equipment. Why not just call it the backpack slot like the other two? With a wide variety of functions between each one. They can all be pretty hit or miss depending on the situation. No matter what the primers throw at humanity, we are able to fight them off and survive. Even when they literally sent 10 kaiju monsters to invade a city, we piloted a giant mech with a freaking laser cannon to fight them off. And for the last time, we are able to shoot down the time machine before it was able to change the course of history. What the heck is that?
It's like the head of a dragon.
Oh, for fuck's sake, they know what dragons are, but decided to call the dragon monster a siren? I love this game. That's not actually a dragon, however. That is God. Well, not the God we defeated in EDF 5, but the super God that represents the entirety of the primers. Learning from our past mistakes, we do not attempt to arrest God, but instead, we act like a police officer who heard an acorn drop. We unload everything we have onto him. After a long and grueling battle, we defeat God and make the ultimate decision. We do not care if we create a time paradox. We are going to nuke the shit out of the primer's home planet, Mars! And then the EDF nukes the ever-living shit out of Mars to make sure that the primers from the future never have a chance to exist? EDF 6 is a giant shitpost of a game, developed by a company who created a ton of shovelware games. This game will always hold a special place in my heart. This is an extremely fun game to play with your friends. Despite having terrible desync issues, also forcing you to sign into the Epic Game Store for no reason at all, this game is never short of moments that will make you feel badass or almost spit take from how stupid the dialogue can be. Somehow, this studio is able to create one of the best games to come out this year. Possibly the game of the year, even though it has no fucking chance of winning any rewards. Buy this game and play it. You will have fun, it's dumb, but I promise it's good. Thank you again for watching. Consider liking this video. It helps a small channel like mine out a lot. Let me know if there's any game you would like me to talk about in the comments below, and I'll see you all next time. See ya!